Okay, here's more quotes from Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers, going in alphabetical order. Richard Steele was a writer in the 1600s. He said, reading is to mind what exercise is to the body. If you fall into a man's conversation, the first thing you should consider is whether he has a greater inclination to hear you or that you should hear him. Gertrude Stein, she said, she was a writer, like part of the Lost Generation group, the expats in the 1920s, friends with Hemingway and whatnot, Fitzgerald. She said, in the U.S., there is more space where nobody is than where anybody is. That is what makes America what it is. To see things in a new way is very difficult, and that is why genius is so rare. Most people are very conformist. It's unusual to meet somebody who's not conformist. A rose is a rose is a rose. And then she said to them, you are all a lost generation, to the writers of the 1920s, all those guys. And they were, in my opinion, too, kind of a bunch of screw-up losers, okay? James Joyce was a total alcoholic idiot getting into fights. Hemingway was another alcoholic, an idiot in many ways, even though he had a wonderful writing style. And there's not a lot of depth or content to his work. Fitzgerald, another alcoholic knucklehead, kind of destroyed himself. The Great Gatsby, yeah, it's a decent book, but it's not that big a deal. They really kind of suck, okay? T.S. Eliot, his poems, Alfred Prufrock, The Wasteland, what kind of crap is that? I'm going to say is, Virginia Woolf commits suicide. What do you get from them? Almost nothing. I think they stink. James Joyce is unreadable. Okay, anyways, totally overrated. They kind of turned away from Christianity and their writing stinks. Okay, a couple quotes from Stoicism. This is Aristotle first. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. These are not totally Stoic quotes. They're just kind of Stoic quotes. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Yeah, you have to be aware of who you are and what you are, who likes you, who doesn't like you, and go by how people treat you. Because a lot of people, people hate them and they think they like them. And if you don't understand that, you're screwed. Okay, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it, without getting all emotional. Okay, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Yeah, if you don't have Christianity and Christian ethics, you end up with atheism. Then you just become a thief. You just go for the money. Excellence is never an accident. It's always the result of high intention, dedicated effort, and intelligent practice. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. It's both. The high-minded man must care more for truth than for what other people think. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. And a lot of times they're just different ways of saying the same thing. Like Goethe had said, in order to learn a complex thing, a man must love it. Because it takes a lot of energy to get great at anything. You got to have that burning desire. That's why the person with the most intense attitude usually improves the fast, like in a sport or wrestling, for example. I used to see that. Rollo May, human freedom involves our capacity to pause between the stimulus and the response, and in that pause to choose a response towards which we will throw our weight. Yeah, learning to not react immediately. That's one of the problems I have talking to young men, because I talk to young men not uncommonly, and they tend to be very impulsive. They drink a lot of coffee, and they want to answer right away. They think they know everything, even though their experience is very small. They betray that they don't have their act together when they reply quickly. I talk to a lot of really smart doctors too. The real smart doctor, he pauses, he thinks, then he speaks. He doesn't blurt, say, I know that, I know that, I know that, I know that. Because a lot of times a conversation, you have to build a little bit, then you get to something good. But if you destroy that attempt to build, you never get to the good stuff. Or if you take everything personal right away, you can never get to the good stuff in the conversation. So a good conversationalist lets the conversation build, gives it a chance to go somewhere. Socrates, definition of terms is the beginning of wisdom. Strong minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Weak minds discuss people. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser. Okay, one last person for this set of quotes tonight. We're going to do Irving Stone. Irving Stone was a writer, and he wrote the great book, The Agony and the Ecstasy, about the life of Michelangelo and then his sort of relationship with Pope Julius, all their arguments back and forth. That was a great movie, The Agony and the Ecstasy. Okay, so Irving Stone says, normal people don't create art. No artist is normal. A normal person cannot be an artist because a normal person is very conformist. As a matter of fact, my ex-wife and I used to always argue because I would say, well, I want the children to develop this ability, develop this talent, or I want to develop it in myself. And she's like, what the F is wrong with you? I just want the children to be normal. And I'm like, why would you want normal? Normal means mediocre, stupid, functional, illiterate, a screw-up. Normal's a very low standard to have. And she's like, I just want them to be normal. I think it might be because my wife is so beautiful, my ex-wife. She's like a perfect 10 in beauty. And when you're that pretty, people do favors for you. Nice things happen to you for no reason. But that's not how life is for a regular person. Nobody's going to do anything nice for me. So I think that's common amongst pretty women, is they sort of see the world like through these rose-colored glasses that, oh, it's a wonderful place. Oh, people are always doing nice things for them. Men do nice things for you because you're pretty. They want to have sex with you, okay? For a regular person, nobody wants to have sex with me. So they don't do something nice unless there's a reason. I'm just saying that it makes a person stupid to think normal should be a goal. The goal should be, what's the best thing I could do? What are my talents, my resources, my time? Point me towards, not be normal. Okay, Irving Stone continues. An artist without ideas is a mendicant, barren. He must go begging for hours. One should not become an artist because he can, but because he must. It is only for those who would be miserable without it. And I think, too, if you're going to be creative, you got to study the creative people that have gone before you. Like an artist has to study all the paintings of the masters, learn how to imitate them, and then begin to add his own twist. Okay, but, if you want to be a writer, you have to do tons and tons and tons of reading. You have to know, you should know all the great novels and a lot of other great writing in order to finally sort of put together something of your own and then develop a lot of experience, ideally some expertise in some area. Okay, a friend says to Michelangelo, it's freezing up there in the Sistine Chapel. What do you use to keep warm? Michelangelo, indignation. It's the best fuel I know of. It never burns out. And I think there's some truth in that. Like when somebody would disrespect me or be nasty to me, a lot of times I would, sometimes there would be nothing I could do initially, but I would want to prove myself. And so I would work even harder to prove myself. So sometimes that's good. It gives you motivational energy. Okay, Irving Stone. Talent is cheap. Dedication is expensive. It will cost you your life. It's been my experience. I've met lots and lots of high IQ people, being in medicine, being at Harvard, Stanford, Northwestern, etc. And what I've seen is most of them, they don't really have much ambition other than to make money, have a nice house, have a nice life, attract a nice partner for marriage or boyfriend, girlfriend. And that's about it. That's all they want. They have no desire to be great. They have no desire to do anything unique or original. Just, hey, learn the game, how to play it to make money, make your money, enjoy your family. That's life. That's what I see in the vast majority of people. So what I'm saying is, the reason there's so few people that go on to do extraordinary things is there's so few people that it burns in their heart, I must do this. And you have to have that, I must do this. You have to be a fanatic. A normal person can never do anything. You have to be a fanatic saying, this is important, no one else is doing it, I can do it, I'm going to do it. It has to burn inside you. For me, there's nothing else I want to do when I wake up on Saturday morning other than write my book chapter. There's nothing that even competes with that 5%. That's what I'm doing. These books need to be written. No one else is going to do it. No one else can do it as well as I do, so I'm going to do it. You have to feel that, or how are you going to get the energy to sit at your desk 12 hours a day and crank something out? It takes a lot of energy. And you're not going to get much money for it. You're going to get nothing for it, essentially. So it has to burn inside you. And the more likely you're telling the truth, the more likely you're going to get screwed. That's how the modern world is. It's basically kind of evil, the establishment. So it has to burn inside you to do something good. And very, very few people have that. I almost never meet anybody like that. Anyways, that's it for today. Hope you found that helpful.